Good evening. It's Freddie Vasquez, Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, I want to talk about the Bernice Spreckman Center. I have some guests with me to discuss. So join me on Basement Politics. Good evening. I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, let's talk about the Bernice Spreckman Center. I have some guests with me who know all about the situation there, why the senior center has yet to open. Good evening, folks. Help me welcome my guests. Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez, and tonight I'm actually doing things a little bit different. I have a guest on the phone with me tonight. Yes, first time on the show. I actually have people calling in, so you won't see their faces, but you will hear them, and they will be speaking about the Bernice Spreckman, correct, center, located over in the 4th District on McLean Avenue. It's been under renovation for quite some time now, but I believe about 2 years. It's a senior center that has provided many activities and a place for the senior population of our community to socialize and gather and have things to do, you know, especially coming off the pandemic is something that's very much needed. And they've been fighting to get it open again. For some reason, it just hasn't worked. So I have on the phone with me a senior member of the community who wishes to remain anonymous. And I also have Carolyn on with phone with me. Is that okay if I use your first name? Carolyn, who's also... Go ahead, Carol. I'm sorry.
Carolyn Elizabeth Marie is fine.
Kaz, say hello to everybody. You're on the line. I mean, you're on air live. So say hello. Both of you can say hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Well, tonight I brought the guest on to speak about this, right? I've been speaking about it a little bit. I've been kind of really firm in demanding that the councilman of the 4th District, John Rubo, do something about this. So I want to talk more about it, and let's work to try and get it open. So please, again, welcome the guests. And I want to ask Carolyn and both the senior members, I don't know which one of you want to go first, but give the audience a little bit of background of what's been going on with the center.
Carolyn, you want me to go first?
Yes.
I will go first. Okay, yes, we want it open, but let's just say that this started over 3 years ago, pre-pandemic, that a list of violations in the building with pictures were given out to council people, the mayor, and ignored. This so happens one day, about a year or so ago, we see that there was work done on the outside, okay? And we feel, my God, this should be work done on the inside of our building. We had insect droppings from the ceiling. We had a walking area that was uneven, that some of our seniors have fallen and had to go into the hospital. We have bathrooms that were rusted, water fountains also rusted, and every demand we asked for was ignored. So finally, about a year or so ago, the mayor and some of the council people went inside of this building and had a meeting with some of us. And they said, yes, the work will begin. Well, no transparency. We didn't know, we weren't told what was being done, how it was being done. And we would ask, we'd get incomplete answers. Oh yeah, don't worry, it'll be done, it'll be beautiful, da 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 da.
So let me just stop you for a second. So you said this has been going on for 3 years now.
That's when they were first notified of the violations, and they were ignored. Not even a receipt that, yes, we received it. Nothing.
So the community members complained about violations or, that were present there at the center that presented a danger and caused some of the senior members of the community to get hurt. And so you express these concerns to the city government, elected officials, and you say that they went largely ignored, correct?
That's correct. And we even had pictures. And like I said, no response. Okay, can you imagine sitting in a room and you have insects dropping on your head? Okay? Windows that probably haven't been cleaned in the 40 years since the building first opened as a library. Okay? So, again, you can imagine what we saw on the outside, that gym equipment, and they even were going to put in a doggy park, and how unhealthy it would be for the seniors to smell it, because it was right outside of our building in the so-called background area.
Yeah.
Actually, seniors were strong, we fought it, and no doggy park.
Yeah, I want to get to that a little bit with the dog park in a bit.
Okay.
But I want to ask you first, let me ask you, what activities, what does the center mean to the seniors in the community there? What has been done there? What activities, gatherings, and tell me what it means to the community there, the center.
About pre-pandemic, it was a social gathering. You know, some of the seniors don't get out much, but it was a place for them to go to share and talk with other seniors. We had bingo. We had exercises. We put on shows. All that came to a stop, okay, because they closed for the pandemic. Then, yes, I know that there were supply shortages and they couldn't start the work right away, but there's no excuse why they couldn't have given us updates. Even today, we still don't know what still needs to be done. They talked about air filtration. Now, we need the whole building. Who knows the last time that the air ducts and the air conditioners were cleaned out and our seniors were breathing dirty air, okay? Air filtration could have just been in the new bathrooms. And with the bathrooms, yes, I supposedly made them handicapped accessible. Thank you. We have 4 bathrooms, so only 2 of them were handicapped accessible.
So let me ask you.
Why not?
So the seniors were in the center, pre-pandemic, prior to the pandemic. They were in the center socializing, doing various activities, but there were still, a need and concerns for health and safety, correct?
Absolutely.
The vents were needing to be cleaned. Who was initially tasked? I know the city owns the property and owns the center, but who was, initially tasked? Which department? Is it DPW? Who was in charge of cleaning that, making sure it's safe, making sure that it's kept up to, upkeep is done, the maintenance? Who usually is in charge of that specifically?
Very light cleaning was done by the custodian, who's an employee of Parks and Rec. Like she'll wipe the floors down, take care of the bathrooms. But as far as maintenance work, and again, one was coming in and doing anything. Yeah, okay, I take it back. They put in new floors, but and they did a painting. But I'd like to also mention that because our center is renovation still has not been completed, Parks and Rec arranged for our classes to be held in other senior centers. Very nice, okay? Some at No Dime, in Neppahan. To think that line dancing is held outside on the grass at Untermeyer for seniors, that is inexcusable.
Now, Untermeyer Park is all the way on the other side of town. And so do they provide transportation while they are doing these renovations?
Nope.
So they're expecting these seniors who would normally go to Bernice Spreckman to travel all the way to the northwest side of town from the southeast side of town in order to do exercises, these line dances, and these activities that were done there initially.
Correct. But the point is also, safe it is for seniors to be dancing on the grass. Okay? Some activities were held inside. Why couldn't they have found a place to put us inside?
Right.
The other.
Now, let me ask you. Now, they recently, maybe it was a year ago, and correct me if I'm wrong, that they had, this whole grand, kind of like not a grand opening, but they installed new gym equipment or workout equipment in the back area there. I know the press was there. Councilman Rubo was there. Some of the elected officials were actually on the equipment, testing it out. What was that about? I thought that they had opened it already. I thought that was the reopening of the center. Was
See
that
what I
not?
mean? Even you didn't get all the information. Okay. All right. We're thinking it's done for political reasons, maybe to get some people voted in office. Oh, it's for the community. It's equipment our seniors can't even use because it's dangerous, and not many people even use that equipment. They put down games, painted games on the ground. They were supposed to send over people to explain to us what these games are and how they're played. Has done that either.
But
Okay.
I went there actually maybe a few weeks ago, and I looked around, and it doesn't seem like it's safe to be in the area, to be on the grounds of the center. They're obviously still doing a lot of work. There's areas that are closed off. There's some cement work that they're still doing for the walkway there. Have they recently announced any plans on having this completed soon? What's the latest information you have been given regarding the center?
Okay, it all depends to the powers that be. Some people are told, oh, it's going to open up in May. Some say it's going to open up in June. If you know anything about Yonkers, their so-called work is completed. So, get a permit. Then inspectors come out and examine the work to determine if it's safe for our seniors to go back in. Things work very, very slowly, 3 months before any permits are issued or inspections.
Well, I know all about that process.
So I think we're going to believe it's going to open up in May. Someone is
right. Well, I don't know if it's going to open up in May. I mean, based on the amount of work that I've seen that needs to be done, I highly doubt it.
Yes, we all doubt it.
If they, however, put a good, number of crew there and, get to work, it's possible maybe by the end of May, June, mid-June. Also, they can get some special consideration over at the building department. It is the city, right? But I'm wondering why, because I haven't heard anything about it from the councilman or any council members. I know, again,
You'll hear about it after this report.
Yeah, I saw them work, and I see this. This is not the first time I've seen this, right? There's a community center over on up on the Nodine Hill and section of Yonkers at the top of Elm Street there, which I'm sure you've been hearing a lot about recently. They did another press conference similar to like the they did over at the Bernice Spreckman Community Center, where they showed that it was open and they showed all the work that was done. They spent $1 million over there for this community center. However, if you drive by it today, you will see that it's not open and there's still construction ongoing. But they made it seem as if it was open and ready for the public. So
are you talking about Nodine?
The Nodine Hill at the church, they converted the old church into a community center there on the corner of Elm Street and Walnut.
No, this is up Nodine Hill on Fillmore Street.
Right, yeah, no, that's over on, off Prescott, but this is the one they recently did. They have a new development up there also on Elm Street. And so they were praising about, how they spent $1 million for this community center. They showed the inside, looked nice, the basketball court, yet it's not open. There's still construction tape and stuff, caution tape around it. There's still some construction equipment. And I don't get it. I don't understand why even have these press releases and these news, stories on it and make it seem as it's open and it's not. And I mean, and this is going on for maybe a year now when they did this announcement. And it seems like this is the same thing that happened here at the Bernice Spreckman Center, right? They showed off the new equipment. They were the elected officials had their television time, right? Taking a few whatever cycles or whatever, and then nothing. You can't, if you go over there, it looks like it's just been destroyed, like a hurricane hit. Right.
So we're hearing now that Nodine Community Center is the next center that's going to have some renovation done. if history repeats itself, it sounds like also it'll be delayed. And
yeah, I mean,
anyway,
they still have that one that was supposed to have opened up. It was a church. The church is somewhat famous because it was in a movie with Denzel Washington and the late singer Whitney Houston. But they converted it into a community center, but it's still in the works. So and then they're talking about the one you're talking about, which is off Prescott Street. They're saying they're going to do renovations there. Bernice Spreckman is in the middle of renovations with construction tape and caution tape around it. I mean, it doesn't seem like, anything is really moving. And again, I understand the pandemic and everything that slowed stuff down, but I think by now, they should have had it done. And, this is what bothers me. And this is why I do basement politics, right? And why I talk about it, because they can get on, on council meetings and talk about, helping DoorDash out and increasing their fees and removing the cap. But they won't get into these meetings and talk about these community centers that need to be fixed, and they need to be opened up. I do have somebody that says that's not true.
Okay,
Dennis, I'm sorry, really quick, Dennis. What's not true? And listen, I'm here to be fair to everyone and give everyone the platform to speak. So we want to get answers correct, whatever that may be. So what's not true, Dennis?
So let me just.
I'm sorry, Coyne Park. I'm sorry, Coyne Park. Is it called Coyne? I'm sorry, Park. Coyne Park is almost done.
Community center. It used to be Coyne Park.
Corn.
Center, or we called it senior center. We didn't know it was a community center.
Oh, fire suppression is holding up Corn Park. Okay, and that's great, and I hopefully that'll get opened up soon, as well. Whatever may be holding up will move forward, and then maybe they can move on to the Bernice Spreckman. But at least, here's the thing, Dennis. What I'm saying is just communication, right? Communicate with the members of the community. As the senior member said here, they're getting different answers from people, if they're even getting any answers. And when you don't communicate and you leave people wondering and guessing and things are not moving, or it seems like they're not moving, right? Because people, I get it. People don't know what's going on in the back end. Like you said, you have permits, you have things, paperwork to file, things that hold up the repair. I'm in construction, so I know sometimes it looks like it's not moving. My clients are like, what's going on? Why isn't anyone working? And I'm like, well, we have to wait for permits, right? So, but at least if you let the people know, right? You let the community know, say, hey, this is what's going on. Each step of the way. It's only fair. We have many individuals that are here in the city that are making $100,000+ a year, right? That are supposed to do these jobs, like the director of constituent services who makes $120,000. Why isn't he speaking to the constituents and saying, hey, this is what's going on? Or the city council member that represents District 4. Hey, let's have a community meeting. And I know there are many members who are concerned about the center. And so this is what's going on. And then I'm going to give you a tentative timeline, because you can't give a specific timeline and hold them to that with construction, especially. So here's a tentative timeline, and this is when we expect it to be done. And hopefully, that'll be the case. But when you don't communicate, right, and you're not really anywhere to be found, and then people see you communicating a lot about certain other things like developments and stuff, then people start to think things, right? And so again, that's why I do basement politics, so we can clear the air. And I appreciate Dennis, you chiming in. Thank you for that. I absolutely really appreciate it. I'm sorry, is it Denise? Am I saying Denise or Dennis? Dennis.
No, that's
I'm so bad. I know I'm horrible. Believe it or not, I got an MBA.
I'm just a senior member.
No, I'm talking to the individuals that are making comments there. So I know I got an MBA and I can't read, clearly. But so that's really, at least I think, to be fair, right? Communication,
that is the thing.
Go ahead.
Yes. Transparency. That's all we're asking for. And be truthful.
Right. Honesty, transparency, because I hear, and this is what I hear, and maybe we get to clear the air now, maybe even Councilmember Rubo will chime in and make a comment, but I hear that Councilman Rubo was upset because he wanted a dog park, and the seniors fought the dog park, and because that wasn't able to happen, he dragged his feet on opening the center or getting it done. That's what I heard. Am I wrong, or?
If Mr. Rebo is listening now, he should only know that that's going to cost him votes. Okay?
What's that?
You're
I'm sorry.
not good to the seniors?
Right.
If they're going to be good to you.
And that's what I said. I mean, the seniors are an important population. I mean, very important. I see a lot of elected officials, many times, just let's say honestly, pandering to the seniors for their votes, right, with certain topics that they don't follow through on many times. And so I'm wondering why he would, do something like that would be detrimental to his election. But then again, right, we can go back to what people say about how elections go here and how the way things go. And even if he has any real challenges, would it even matter, right? So if we don't go out and vote and show them that our power is our voting power and say, hey, if you don't get things done, we're going to vote you out, or we're going to have candidates and people that are going to enter these races. So you're not in campaign races alone, where it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to win anyway, right? So you can act however you want.
Well,
and he knows
if I may,
seniors, can I just say one more thing?
Sure, go ahead. You can say as much as you want. Go ahead.
Everybody's there? Oh, grandmother, I'm not sure what it is. Attends at Bernice Spreckman Community Center. So when you think about the center still closed, he's also preventing his relatives coming to our center also. How do you like that one?
Oh, so some of his relatives or a relative of his would attend that as well?
Yep.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
and if I may, let me just, is it okay if
I know I have issues with relatives, but go ahead. No.
So what it was is he did allocate within 2 years, 2 separate years, $600,000 to fixing the center. That was outside and inside. We have no idea why they did outside first, because there was ADA violations on the inside. We had, as she said, seniors that fell and had to be rushed to the hospital. One seriously injured. And then we also had a senior, a female senior that had an accident in the bathroom because she couldn't get into the stall with the walker and was afraid she was going to fall. And then there was another issue that one of the workers there was very nasty to her about her accident on the floor. And the seniors have written petitions about that worker, and the worker's still there. So none of their concerns are being addressed. I mean, and I was not involved. I got called in with the dog park, but prior to that, they had already done a petition on their own, all the seniors gotten together and physically handed it through City Hall to give them copies of what they put together and what all the violations were. And, and they didn't know it was ADA violations. They didn't know the magic word. They just knew that they couldn't access the bathroom with a wheelchair or a walker. And the fact that they sat on this, and then the attitude was, to me, well, it was done before the ADA violation date, so we don't have to fix it. You have to fix it.
Oh,
whether it's people or regular people or seniors, anybody handicapped, they have to be able to. It's a city-run place. And there's so many issues here. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say it's building code. They have to make it, accessible. I mean, even in my daycare center, right? That was one of the things that they mentioned to me when they checked my bathrooms. And the only thing that I was missing, were the bars, the handicap bars in one of the bathrooms, which I have already since installed, right? But you have to have certain things, handicap accessible. And they do inspect for that. It doesn't matter, especially a city building, you would think that it services the public, that would go without saying, but that should have been addressed. That should not be an excuse or a reason why they couldn't have done that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right. And then the Justice Department got involved because this was posted all over Nextdoor app, and somebody reached out that actually works with people that are disabled, and they're like, listen, I made a complaint to the Justice Department, so I know they got a letter. And then allegedly one of the councilmen said to somebody else that, because I didn't hear it myself, I wish I did, that, the more they advocate, the more they're going to be locked out. Now, that's a hearsay because I didn't hear it myself, but it is somebody that's involved in the insider politics realm.
Well, unfortunately,
and it's just, you're
being retaliating, or retaliatory towards people that speak out is not something that's unheard of or new. So if, an allegation like that is believable here, unfortunately, it's believable that it actually happened.
Yeah. But how do you do that when your own parents are seniors? I mean, all of us, have parents? How do you, that's the issue. And the fact that, $600,000 and you're still not done. The other day I drove by, I saw the door open. So I went over there, 2 workers came out. I'm like, oh, this is great. Are you done? They're like, oh, no, there's a big meeting in the back. The commissioner was there, Sansone. The assistant commissioner were back there and a few more people, he said. So I was like, do you mind if I go look for them? Whatever. They said, yeah, go ahead. So I walked in and I was disgusted because there's coffee stains all over the floor, dirt still by the windows. The 2 rooms were dark. So I went through the 2 rooms looking for them, and I'm like, hello, and I have a video of it, in fact. And then I finally found Mr. Sassone in the back room, and I'm like, and he was like, oh no, you can't be in here. I'm like, oh fine, can you come out and please tell me what's going on? I'm excited, you're here. And it was a mess. It was dirty, dusty, and a mess. You've been closed over 2 years, and that's what this looks like. So when we went outside, I said to him, well, what's going on? He says, well, we're missing. I said, do you have the doors in? Because we're supposed to get special doors, handicap doors. And he said, yeah, but we're missing a few pieces. So I said, okay, the bathrooms are done. They're done. The ventilation system, oh, we kind of clean them and we'll do it again. So I'm like, okay, what about the windows? That's phase 2. What's phase 2? I mean, $600,000 and you couldn't get brand new windows? There's not that many windows in the building. So I said, okay, do you have a date for us? Oh, we have to get the fire department to approve the permit. So I'm like, okay, a month, maybe 2 months, more doable. What kind of answers are these?
Right.
So it's just not acceptable. You sit there and get upset that we're out protesting or they're out protesting. It's not me. They had to reach out to an advocate because elected officials are there to do a job, and it's to represent people. Unfortunately, we have a city filled with self-serving politicians, and all they care about is their self and their pockets. So that's why there are advocates to now argue the point that why aren't you doing your job? And you're paying their salary.
Right. And that's something that, again, I've been talking about a lot on Basement Politics. What are council members actually doing to advocate for the people that vote for them, the constituents, right, in their districts? And that's why I kind of target them. People say, well, Freddie, go out to Spano and stuff. My focus is primarily the people that are elected by each district, constituents in each district to represent that district. And I feel that they are the checks and balance to the mayor. That's kind of the people's representative, right? They are. So I hold them most accountable. And I go to them first, and it doesn't seem like they are doing for the people. Look at what's happening over in District 1 with the JFK Marina and Trevor Park, how that's going private, right? They're giving it to this developer, and then they're saying, okay, then they're going to revert it back to parkland. But I don't understand why they're taking it to begin with. All right. Why do they even give it to them? Why even give any of that to any private developer? It is the last piece of, parkland left, public parkland that's along the Hudson River. Once it all goes private, that's it. And I know in my heart that's what's going to eventually happen. They're just pulling the people along and just telling them something. But it seems like parks are being taken away. Some are being fixed. I have seen, some of them in the process of being fixed. But let's look at Fayfield, for example. That's another park that looks like it was hit by a nuclear bomb. They have equipment there that's damaged, old construction equipment, backhoes that are obviously damaged, no longer work, left there. The field's been dug up, and it broke my heart because that's where I played baseball when I was, I played for Luddale, Little League many, many years ago. And to see it like that, it's just like, wow, what's going on here in the city. And I can't, it bothers me that certain individuals, basically developers, are getting so much of the attention and not the community, not the people within the community. And when they do give some to the community, it's just to appease us, right? And it just, here, be happy with this. And that's it. But we want more. We need to demand more. We need to be consistent. And I believe that's really what key is, consistency, because people sometimes speak up and then they kind of fade away. And I get it. Life happens, but we have to be consistent. That's kind of why I do this Basement Politics, why I wanted you guys, or ladies, I should say, to come on, because we have to be vocal. Right. We have to make noise.
And yes,
look at how he purposely is trying to punish us by delaying the work in our center.
I would hate to think that Mr. Rubo is trying to punish the seniors over in District 4. But if Mr. Rubo were to make sure that the Spreckman Center got done in a timely fashion, and then maybe even hold some kind of a town hall sometime next week, right? Give them some time to announce it and discuss with the community that this is the plan to get it done. And I promise you it will be done. Then maybe that's not the case. Maybe, you know, there are other things going on. Let's see how he responds. But if he completely ignores, you know, folks now, especially after speaking about him on the show here, he doesn't care. Then I'm gonna have to assume that he doesn't care. Rubo, do you not care?
Yes, the center will be open. Yes, the work will be done, but they won't come down and give you approximate dates. Okay.
If I could just interject here. So here's the issue. Councilman Rubo should have never gotten involved in the first place. This had to do with the Parks Department. So it was displaced anger by the seniors or upsetment, because the reality is, like, he was pushing his dog park. It was a dog park, and he was not budging. If it wasn't for the mayor turning around and saying, okay, guess what? I'm trumping him, and there will be no dog park. He put it in writing, gave us the letter saying that as long as I'm there will not be a dog park. That's where his mistake was, because honestly, all he had to do was say, hey, stand with the seniors and advocate to the Parks Department and say, what are you doing? Right. You know, why aren't you opening this place? And here's another thing. Last year, there was going to be, the mayor came in to speak with the seniors. He had gone around calling people, seniors, and telling them, don't you dare show up. Don't you dare show up. It's only the board. It's only the board. They were calling me. I said, listen, if there's one thing I know, John could be arrogant and he's going to tell you to leave. However, our mayor's not like that. Our mayor has that it factor to be a politician, you know, where he's kind, compassionate. When you meet this guy, he really is. So the mayor came, and thank God some of the people John was telling to leave, the mayor walked in. They said, we'll ask the mayor. And the mayor said, no, come in. And he sat there and he listened. He said that he didn't realize there was so many issues going on, and that he was definitely going to look into it. And then an 87-year-old woman, said to the mayor, listen, the pandemic has taken a lot from me. I love my family, but I miss my friends. Please get me my center. I don't know how much longer I have. With that, the mayor said, he really cared. He was like, listen, my mom's 87. I get it. I understand. We have a very large family, but she also has friends. I'm going to do what I have to do. But nothing. But we already know the mayor is not the real mayor. We got Nick, who's Sano, his brother, who's the real mayor. I'm being honest, because at this point, gentlemen, and I know you're listening, it's not okay. It's not okay to take the center away from the seniors. Okay, they're not asking for much. They've worked all their lives. They're retired, and they're not being manipulated, like, Councilman Rubo unfortunately wants to say. We're talking about paralegals, ex-teachers, nurses, that have spoken up. They're wonderful. They're people. They're regular people. They've done their time. They're retired. And why shouldn't Yonkers give them the respect and open the center, like the surrounding areas? And that's all I'm saying is please open this center. What else do you want from them? Give them a place to come together. We just went through a pandemic. There's severe mental health issues with everybody from baby until 150. Okay, so give them a place to come together that's safe and share with their friends. Well, that's
the key word. Not just to say it's open, but to make sure it's safe to open. Yeah. And that's why they have to have the permits and the inspectors, and who knows when that'll be done. But we don't even know when all the work inside is going to be done either. Okay, so let me just add. So you saw and spoke to Mr. Sansone, and he could have sent out a notice, whether to our president or our vice president, about what he saw, et cetera. Nothing.
Right.
So that was as current as this week. Nothing.
The backyard was supposed to be done. They told us last year that even if you're going to be out of it inside, we'll make sure the backyard has your barbecue, a pavilion, and, you'll have plenty of seating. They did do the pavilion. It's beautiful. The barbecue I have no idea what they did with the barbecue. We know that a worker told us he had it. It was down at the office, but it never materialized there. And there's one bench that might fit, 4 to 6 people, I want to say, under the pavilion. Other than that, there's nowhere for them to play bingo, bikino, or any games, so that at least they have the backyard.
I did see that, and maybe that's a good idea if they can at least fix up the grounds on the outside, make it safe so that on great, on nice days when the weather permits, you can go there in the outside, sit in the back in the pavilion, and it does provide a little bit of shade. I agree they need more seating. There's one bench, maybe some tables there with a little bit more comfortable seating, so they the individuals can go there and play various games and stuff and socialize, right, and having a cool area to sit in the shade. I'm not sure how much that shade that little pavilion thing is going to provide, so maybe they ought to reconsider doing something a little more there, but definitely need some seatings and just making it safe. They have to remove that dumpster that's in the parking lot also, get rid of that. But yeah, I think that's a good compromise, but at the very least they need to start to address it. They need to speak to the members of the community.
Focusing on the outside and less on the inside. I'd rather just.
Well, you got to make it safe, inside and out. Make sure that even if you are going to limit people just to the outside, that everywhere around the outside is safe. Because if you give people an access to a certain area, people may accidentally walk into another area that may not be safe. So you want to make sure the entire outside area is safe. But I think that the city has the power, the resources. Let's just be honest. I think the city has the power, the resources, and the means to get that done quickly. To get the inside done and get the outside done quickly. I've seen other things get done quickly, things that they want. And when they want to make it happen, it happens. They find a way. They find the money. They find the manpower. And I think they can do that here, right? So, I mean, excuses, all this stuff, well, we got to do this, we got to do that. To me, I'm going to see that as excuses. If I were the mayor or someone that had some power, I would get it done for you guys. I'd simply say, hey, listen, all right. I talk to whoever, DPW, whoever is in charge of fixing things, the head, hey, this is what I need done. Let's get the logistics figured out, and then once we get that, I'll have Mr. Rubo, hey, speak to the members of your district, tell them this is what we're doing, and let's get it done. That's it. It's really that simple. I mean, I do construction. It's honestly the longest part of a construction process is waiting for the building department. Waiting for the building department. I have a job now that I'm gonna be done if it wasn't for the building department. And I'm not even talking about my business, my center. But so and even that, the elected officials, the mayor, the city council members can get that done if they wanted to. Right, they can go to building department and say, hey, we need this pushed through because it's a city thing. This is for the community, right? I think we all can appreciate getting something like that pushed through because they can do it for a developer, right? And many of these big developers have these complex projects, and they oftentimes are getting their permits so much more quicker than a simple single family home renovation. And that doesn't make sense to me, right? So I think they can get it done. I don't want them to give too many excuses of what needs to be fixed for the safety. Yes, it needs to be fixed, needs to be safe, but it can also be done before the summer. I think it could be ready by the time kids get out of school or even before then. I think that's a realistic goal, and I think that if we continue to push, we can make that happen. And Mr. Rubo, John Rubo, and if you know Councilman Rubo, if you see Councilman Rubo, make sure you make him aware.
I have a low battery.
No, go ahead. I'm going to let you go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I have a little battery on my phone. I might get disconnected.
Okay,
I'm
well,
sorry.
if you want, go ahead and say, maybe if there's anything last things you haven't said that you want to say or anything that you think is important to say, go ahead and say it now.
Okay. No, I just want to say that, again, I'd rather the focus be on the inside right now and get that done because the outside space really isn't that big. Anyway, I also want to thank you for allowing us to speak, and hopefully our message will get to others who are listening to this. And that's really it.
Oh, well, you're welcome. I appreciate you coming on. And I really am glad that you ladies joined me because I believe that this is the beginning of something much bigger that we don't see yet, right? I'm the type of guy that I see, ahead. My wife's always like, you're too far ahead. Let's focus on right now, and I see it. But I believe that it's not just about the Bernice Spreckman Community Center, but our community as a whole, and everyone should learn from what we're doing here is that we need to become vocal. We need to speak out. And I understand that people are, afraid sometimes for various reasons, legitimate reasons, right? I understand they have concerns. And so people often are afraid to speak out. And that's why things, go the way they go, but we have to speak out. And eventually over time, our voices will be too strong. Retaliation won't even be an option for them because they know if they retaliate, we are going to come for them. It's going to be an entire community that's going to come for you. And we no longer will be held, at your mercy, but you're now going to be held at our mercy, the people. And we do that by voting, and we definitely do that by speaking up and being vocal. And I appreciate you. And Carolyn, you and I have spoken about that. I appreciate what you've been doing. And, and I see some growth. I know you've been saying, and the fact that you're on now, that to me speaks volumes. And that's what I want to most get out of this. We have to speak up.
Right. Listen, 30 years next year, I'll be advocating in this city, and had nothing to do with politics to the year 2009. And I don't even know what I was thinking. They come off really sweet and really kind, and they probably are. But unfortunately, this is a business for them. That's what people have to understand. And the voting is the most important part. Absolutely. We need to get that message out. People are like, oh, my vote doesn't count. But we have 30,000 people here. I think the mayor won 20,000 votes last time. Look at John Rubio. You brought him up. Carlos Burgos, somebody that's unknown to politics, came out of the woodwork, and John only won by 110. Those are horrible numbers. I mean, his delusions of mayor are kind of shot, because Carlos if Carlos would have just done his absentee ballots, he would have won. I mean, this is with no money practically. Wow. And he had to fight 3 different times in a court, because John's people, Zay Jarrett and John, kept bringing him to court 3 times. This young man had a fight. So, and then literally only had a few weeks before election. So please, anybody listening that wants to run for office, don't be afraid. People are waking up. People are speaking out. You'd never hear me on a show before, but it's just getting frustrating when I have people. Somebody said to me the other day, we've lost 15 members. There might be more, but she said 15 members that were waiting to get back in the center. They passed away. That is unacceptable, and wasn't just from COVID. It was a heart condition, a stroke. Okay, and they were good people. So now when the seniors get back together, and this is the largest center in the city of Yonkers, it's over 300 members. Wow. Okay, when they get back together, they're already missing members. Okay, that passed away waiting for the center to open. Okay, after begging for a place to come so they can be together safely. So it's not acceptable, gentlemen. I mean, you want to be an elected official, you want to come to your cake to these centers and say, please vote for me. Well, then you need to have that same type of robust, feelings when you're saying, okay, I'm going to make sure we can at least get you. That's the very least you could do. Absolutely. Is open the center.
Absolutely. I agree.
So, and I thank you so much for helping us. It was the last minute. Otherwise, we could have had a lot more people on. But
no, I still love to have them on. So, I mean, whenever they're ready, let me know. We can definitely have them on, and anyone, because I love to speak to members of the community. We are the most important factor in this entire process. The people. We vote and we make the change through voting, but we have to come out. Like Carolyn said, 20,000 people to come out in a citywide race is poor numbers. That's about 10% of the entire population. That is not good. Mm-hmm. That is not good at all. And so we need more numbers. We need to be at, 50,000, 60,000 people to come out and vote. And that's how we make a difference. When there's such small numbers, it's easy for the elections to be manipulated. And we've seen that happen last year, right? And so this is where we at today. But we have to let them know we're coming this time around. We're going to vote. People are starting to speak up. People have a platform to speak up, and we're only going to get louder. That's the way we're going to do here, city folks. So I thank you, ladies, again. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. This is a big moment, I think, and I want to see more people coming out and speaking. And hey, I'll lead that if I have to. I'll lead the charge, and I'll take the the brunt of it, because that's what I'm ready to do. So.
Well, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Brave of you. And have a great night. And let's see what we'll do. We'll touch base and follow up and see what John Rubio and the rest of the city council members are going to do about it. Thank you for coming on. Have a great night. I appreciate it, ladies. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was my first television interview on Basement Politics here. And we discussed the Bernice Spreckman Center that's yet to open. Why? City officials, come on. You guys can do it. You've done things before that were impossible, but you got it done, right? Like that deal over on Hudson Street. You know what I'm talking about? Next to the YMCA, behind the ShopRite, where the daycare center used to be. Now, I hear there were a lot of things that had to be done in order to get that approved. Arms that were twisted, legs that were bent, heads that were cut off, and members of certain committees that were let go without even being notified that they were let go. They were simply ignored. And that's how they found out they were no longer on the planning board, because they didn't want to vote in the way that wanted them to vote. But they got it done, right? They made it happen somehow. So you can make it happen for the seniors over there in District 4. Rubo, I'm telling you, you're only hurting yourself more and more, brother. You are. You think people are going to vote for you? And when learning the game, we understand what that was about when Homeboy's sister entered the race. We know what that was about. We learned about a perfect solution. Should we dig deeper? Who are the clients? Get the center done. Come on. It's unfortunate that people have to be this way in order to get our elected officials to get out their seat and do their jobs. But for that, you will not be voted in again. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics, and I love it. Thank you for joining me, folks. I appreciate you all. Thank you for the support. Let's share it. Vocalize your opinions, your thoughts, your comments, concerns about what's going on here in the city. Don't be afraid. It can't beat us all. Thank you for joining me again. I appreciate the support. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics, and join me tomorrow. Have a blessed night and have a happy Thursday. Thank you. My wife at, baby. Oh, baby, I'm coming up. I'm coming out the basement. I am Freddie Vasquez. That was your Basement Politics for Wednesday, Hump Day. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to the ladies that joined me on the show. The Bernice Spreckman Center over on McLean Avenue in the 4th District has not opened, been closed in renovations for 2 years. I get it. There's a lot of renovations happening. Why don't you get some of those developers to help out? I mean, they are getting a lot of deals and steals, right? Get them to help out. Get them to spend some money, because I would definitely be shaking them down for money. Hey, developers, you want to do business in Yonkers? Fix our parks now. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Let's demand change. Fix the park, John. Fix the park, Henry.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
I was raised in housing.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
I was raised in housing.
Freddie wins. Fatality.